1. Welcome to Sociable Soccer, Ryan McLeod. My name is Mr. Chairman, and you look an awful lot like that Conor McGregor guy, Mr. Chairman. He's not talking back, he's just a cartoon. Sociable Soccer is made by John Hare, who made Sensible Soccer. Obviously you know that. Obviously I've switched the camera already to the old style because that's why you're playing it. Nobody who's playing it, well, maybe some people who are playing it only playing it for nostalgic reasons, but I obviously am. Pretty much every aspect of this game, every menu, every character design, every letter, I think, actually, it feels like an abomination to my eyes. I hate the design here. It's really ugly. Looks like a mobile game, runs like pish. The audio files in it, the sound effects are really unpleasant. I basically think it's horrible. The whole thing is horrible looking. But how does it play? That's all that matters. How does it play? It has a slice, it has a rub, it has something, it has an essence of the Sensible Soccer days gone by, but really unfortunately just no enough of it. Unlocking players, upgrading players, it's quite an uninteresting process really. It's just bigger numbers, faster teams. It's, again, I say unfortunately because I had some hope for it. I do take some satisfaction and pleasure for hammering teams once I've figured out the patterns, but I've really got nothing more interesting to say about it other than it's like a mobile game. It's almost entirely void of the charm and quirkiness and addictiveness of the original. I say original, I'm talking about Sensible Soccer. Listen, maybe it's fine. Maybe I'll remind you. I don't know what I'm talking about. Maybe I'm well after. 6 seems a bit right though. And the time I spent playing that, I could have been playing the Talos Principle 2, which, well, I'm playing it. But the thing is, I've not played enough yet for, again, don't listen to what I've got to say because I've just not played enough yet. But what I love about it so far is obviously it looks absolutely amazing. It's the first time in a long time that I just examined textures in the game. I was looking at the almost fabric-y looking texture of 1K, the main character's head. Talos Principle 2 is set thousands of years after the original. With the frequency that I'm going to be getting stuck at puzzles in this, I hope the developer's going to wait a few thousand years before bringing out Talos Principle 3 to give me a chance to finish the game. But it's set thousands of years after the original, and there's now a community of robot people who, as far as they're concerned, are humans, or what remains of humans. And now, Talos Principle 2, as opposed to the first one, there's NPCs that you can interact with. You're being asked advice in the game. I don't want to say too much. So far, I mean, it's a puzzle game that wrestles with philosophical questions about humanity and existence and morality, and it looks amazing. It looks, I mean, please don't listen to what I've got to say, but it looks like it's quite an achievement. But don't quote me or write that down or anything, or pay attention to that. Forget I even said it.
It's not like the wee Sonic we usually play.
This month, as I expand my physical Switch collection, I looked across the water like this wee lassie here in this stock footage, and I picked up an import American game, and I'm so glad I did because it's fucking brilliant. It's called World Outlaws. It's been a long year, yeah. Come on, yeah. Here's me getting in my more. Some boy. Take my helmet out with me. Always take your helmet when you're leaving your motor. Grab your helmet.
You pack your bag and you load your trailer with stuff and you head out on the road. It's like a beatdown. It's probably one of the toughest things physically, mentally, financially, all of the above. And you get run down. When you're a weekly racer or you can pick and choose, you get to go home if things aren't right. You hit the reset button. When you're outlaw tough, there's no reset button. There's when it starts, there's no stopping.
Yous are old like me, so yous can remember back in the PlayStation 1 and N64 games when you would play an awful lot of games that were kinda like American sports. Like sport games that had been brought over here, and they had the soundtracks with the songs that you've maybe not heard before, and it was a wee bit janky. It wasn't like the highest budget games, motocross games and stuff like that, but they gave you an insight into a different culture, and they really created an atmosphere, and that's what World of Outlaws is. It also happens to be an absolutely amazing racing game, and I'm talking about an absolutely brilliant racing game. Challenging, thrilling, exciting, I'm going to really struggle to find any negatives here. I do have one big negative that I'll talk about towards the end, but I was just completely surprised and shocked and blown away by what this game is. It's very difficult to explain why a racing game is good. They just feel good. You know it when you feel it. And this is... Listen to this. Listen to the atmosphere. I mean, how can you no love that? It's a beautiful recreation of this kind of like American. It feels almost like a southern, deep south kind of. Hold on.
I was just starting out at my local track
This
years ago.
this guy's reading off this.
Just keep
He's reading this. Look at his eyes.
Try to get into as many features as you can.
Check his eyes.
Sponsors out here like to see consistency.
Phoning it in.
Your fan base will start to build, and you'll be heading out
Honestly,
to regional events in no
this is
time.
just about the
Just
perfect
remember to
game for
sink
me.
as much money back into your car as possible. It will help you stay competitive. Good luck out there.
Beautiful. I find these video messages for the boys really charming. Anyway, this is midget racing, right? So this is the division I started in as a racer, and that's the interesting thing about this game, is that it simulates the life of a dirt racer. You know, it's not so much about the cars, it's more about you as a racer, as you become known locally, and then as you move on to become known regionally, and then, you know, across the whole of the states, nationally. It's a really interesting structure. As you can see, here's me dealing with my team here and assigning a wee sponsor agent, because you can get sponsors and they give you wee challenges like, well, essentially they want you to finish in the top 10 or the top 5. It's almost like putting bets on yourself to try and earn more money, and it's all about the money, baby. You need to bring in the money so you can buy the new parts, so you can buy the new cars. You can even hire other drivers to drive your cars in races while you're away doing other stuff. This game is enormous. Hold on.
You're really improving out there. Keep digging.
You're starting to get some nice finishes, and now you're climbing the points. Keep it up.
Great race today. You're a natural.
I love every single person involved with this game. I love them all. No, I haven't heard anybody talking about this game. Nobody has spoken about it. When I was playing it and I was raving about it and I was telling my pals about it, everybody was saying, you're making this game up. I've never heard it in my life before. But I'm here to tell you, this is a Consolevania discovery. I'm betting you've not tried it. I'm betting you've not played it. And when you do play it, you are absolutely going to love it. It's a fantastic simulation racing game. It's rock solid. It's hard, challenging, and you'll be at it forever. In fact, it's so challenging that right at the start, when I started playing it, I was like, fucking hell, I can't even control these motors. Seriously, I was like, I can't control these motors. So I had to go and have a look on some forums for some ideas about how to change all the steering sensitivity. That's how much a simulation this game is. It lets you kind of customise everything. You can go in and customise all this: throttle range, throttle speed, steering rate. I don't even know what fucking any of this thing is, but I took somebody else's settings, used them, and before I knew it, I was the fucking top guy on the dirt. Hold on, I need to take this.
Great driving out there. That was some fun, hard racing. Keep it up.
Makes me feel special, her saying that.
Great driving. That was some fun, hard racing. Keep it up.
Wait a fucking minute, he said the exact
Well,
same thing.
I see you've mastered the local tracks and have started making a name for yourself out there. If you keep it up, you'll get to the world of Outlaws in no time. Good luck.
Right, but listen, I don't want you to think I'm joking when I say that this is one of the best games I've played this year, and it's probably my favourite racing game on the Switch. Honestly, I've put more time into this now, and I've had more fun with this game. There's just something so compelling about going round that oval and a variety of motors and building up your reputation and getting loads of video messages for your pals. And it's just the mood. There's a kind of melancholy mood, nostalgic.
Great race today. That could be a sign of things to come.
Fucking, I've got pals now.
I'm a wee bit embarrassed to be the one pointing this out to Nintendo that Super Mario RPG is a remake of a near 30-year-old game. Nintendo, you don't make remakes of 30-year-old games. You make remakes of like 5, 6-year-old games. Learn the games industry, Nintendo. And Super Mario RPG out this month on Switch. Mario, that's the guy in the red hat there on the barrels. Mario, he's a plumber. Clearly not very good. Here's a joke. Here's a joke. There's a joke coming up. Put your tea down, please. Clearly not a very good plumber. Because there's lots of what? Forget it. So Mario needs to fight lots of big bosses, as he always does in all the games that he's in. It's what he's into fighting bosses. This time his adventure will take you about 12 hours-ish. What's really good about it is combat is very, very fast. And it's got timed button responses in battles, so you can do more or take less based on how good your button contacts are, how speedy you are, how good your timing is. I've already talked about RoboCop Rogue City last month, but it deserves to be recognised that it's definitely the most authentic adaptation the franchise has ever had. Really is quite pitch perfect. Isn't he pushing boundaries? Isn't he really pushing boundaries? But it's so authentic. A solid B-movie game. Also in this, RoboCop has a therapist, which I've been saying for years I thought would be a really good idea for him.
Officers suffering from emotional trauma.
It's very truthful to the Paul Verhoeven film in that it's really bloody, incredibly violent. Robo, as everybody unfortunately likes to call him in the game, is a tank killing machine. Environments are quite destructible, very satisfying. Attention to detail is excellent. Also the synth type music it uses is really nice, complements it very well. Even dealing with smaller infractions in the game I think fleshes things out. You know what, I think I actually would, now thinking about it now, I would actually buy that for a War Hospital isn't actually even out until January, as it's about to tell you right here, January 11th, 2024. It's a real-time strategy and kinda an RPG as well, and I don't see how it wouldn't be the most fucking miserable, emotionally depleting experience that you'll ever have. It just seems to reek of death. I'm really looking forward to it. In WarioWare Move It, WarioWare wins a holiday but has to take a load of people with him and he's fucking raging about it. WarioWare Move It uses more motion controls, even uses the wee infrared bit in the motion controls, the Joy-Cons. Joy-Con accuracy is at times terrible, especially when you're doing fast movements. Although it does have more multiplayer in it, and it has, as you would expect, hundreds of like 3-second little games, it does feel a little short-lived. I just mean once you've seen all the mini-games. I had the same issue with the last WarioWare game as well. Once you've seen everything, you kind of feel like you've seen it. Well, you have seen it. That's why it feels like you've seen it when you've seen it. Because you've seen it. And once you've seen these mini games, once you've seen this one where she eats the apple and she chokes and then she has to get it through her body. Bodies are rude. You've seen that now. You know what I mean? Do you take my point? No, you've seen that. I like this one. It's Christmassy. Now I'm acting as if I'm not blown away by this WarioWare game, but I still think it would be a good idea for you to get it because it'll get you moving. You know you're going to be eating far too much at Christmas and New Year. You're going to put on another 2 stone, which you really can't afford today at your age. You could at least make a tiny wee bit of effort and flap your damp, flabby arm wings to fun old WarioWare. Just get everybody around you to wear masks and goggles and stuff in case your smelly sweat gets on them. Thirsty Suitors is an interesting one. It's got an Indian cast. It uses a kinda battle system to work through issues. Jala's who you control and she's like a kind of skating legend. If you didn't know, she's like a skating legend. The plot of the game is Jala has moved back to like her hometown after a bad breakup. But as luck would have it, there's like a skate punk cult and an abandoned theme park so that gives you the plot for a game. Easy. And Thirsty Suitors' dialogue choices can inflict emotional damage. But that's the same as life as well. There's lots and lots of dialogue in this game. Jala has got a lot of exes that you'll be meeting as well. I'd rather not say anything further about that, no comment. It's got so much going for it, and yet I look at it and I go, this looks very Fortnite, doesn't it? There's just something I don't find very pleasant about looking at it. That's as specific as I can be. It's interesting and the design is really expressive, but I kind of find it quite unpleasant.
What you're looking at just now, when you look at this image, is old age. I never used to look like this. Look at that. There's no hiding it now. And with old age comes, I would like to think, some wisdom.
Aging is inevitable, but a lot of how we age is under our control, and improving our health in our old age starts today.
And I was talking to my daughter Hope a few days ago about something. I was talking to her about virtual reality, and I was saying to her, why are people not every day completely raving about how amazing virtual reality helmets are? A couple of nights ago I had a session on my VR helmet.
Now I'm 55 years old, and I would imagine in the next 10 years or so, I'll be starting to approach what people think of as old age.
And I played a game called Eye of the Temple. Now, Eye of the Temple was a game where, well, this is on the MetaQuest 3. That's right, I'm on board, I'm calling it MetaQuest now instead of the Oculus. I was on MetaQuest 3, I was playing Eye of the Temple, it was on sale, it was a Black Friday sale thing, so I gave it a go. And Eye of the Temple says, oh, you need to have a 2x2 metre space to play this game, and also that you play it at your own risk, right? I'll explain why that matters in a minute. So, I'm getting some work done in my living room at the minute, right? I'm getting a wood-burning stove put in, right? I know, very fancy. But it's a lot of work. We have to clear the room. The room's a big kind of empty space at the minute, so 2x2 metre space was no problem at all. Big space in the middle of the room, right? Put on Eye of the Temple, and here's how Eye of the Temple works. You're a kind of Indiana Jones type figure, right? In Eye of the Temple. And you're exploring these big tombs, these big temples. And the way you explore them is, most of the time what you're doing is you're going like that with your whip to smash things open, to activate things, you're pulling levers, and you're stepping onto a lot of moving blocks and rolling wheels. So, when you're in that virtual world and you have the helmet on, when you step onto a moving block, picture this. You step onto this moving block and it moves, the moving block carries you across this chasm, and then you need to step off at the other side. Now, in that virtual reality world, in that VR world, when you step onto that block, wait and then step off, you feel as if you've navigated a 5-6 metre space. But what you've actually done is you've made one step in your room, and then you've made another step in your room. And then maybe you turn to the left to step onto the next block, and you step onto that block, and then that travels you 4 or 5 metres in the virtual space, and then you step off again. And then, no, by the way, see when you're doing this stepping, because your mind believes that you're moving, when you're stepping onto and off of these blocks, you start to lose your balance. You're kind of feeling dizzy, and you're losing your balance, and you're taking the steps, you're like, oh. Again, you're just gently stepping around your room. When you go into the moving, the rolling blocks, the kind of rolling barrel type blocks that go across space, you step onto them, but you have to step backwards as you move across the room, right? So you go into this moving block, it's rolling across this big sheer drop in this temple, and you're stepping backwards so that you don't fall off to try and balance on it, you know, like barrel rollers. And you move across this big giant space. What you've actually done is you've taken maybe 3 or 4 or 5 tiny steps inside your living room. So what they've done with this virtual reality game is that they've created the illusion of you stepping and navigating and moving across a giant temple, activating levers, opening up new bits, turning left, going that way, turning right, going that way, and what you're actually doing is taking small steps within a 2x2 metre space inside your own living room. Now, look at this. That's old age. Look at the loss of the elasticity in that skin now. Look at that. Look, watch this. See that? I remember being a wee guy playing High Noon on the Commodore 64. I remember playing Forbidden Forest on the Commodore 64. I came up through the PlayStation 2, the NC. I remember playing Mario 64 for the first time. I remember the first time I loaded up a PlayStation 2, played Sky Odyssey. I remember when I first got my Xbox and loaded up Dead or Alive or loaded up Halo. I remember all of that. And now, I can believe that I'm inside a world, inside a temple, moving about, losing my balance, thinking that I'm going to fall to my death while stepping about in a 2 metre space, 2 metre square space in my own living room. And I do not, for the life of me, understand why people are not fucking shouting this for the rooftops. I hadn't even heard of this game, and I want a VR helmet. So what I'm saying to you, I suppose, is us who've been around for a long time, viewers of this show, we should all be playing VR. We deserve it. We've earned it. We've earned to spend time in the virtual worlds because we saw the beginnings of all this. And also, I think we need to be making a wee bit more noise about it, because the experience you get from that VR helmet, the same price as a PlayStation 5, I don't think there's anything that comes near it. I just don't think there's anything that comes near it. I think it's time me and Ryan took a trip back to the past, just to get an overview of all this, just to get a look at it all. I'm going to talk to him about that. I don't want you to think that I've just been a dirt racer this month, because I've also been a man of fashion. This is Fashion Dreamer on Switch, which has been getting some interesting reactions for people. It's made by the mob that made all the Style Boutique games on 3DS, which are really brilliant games. And this one is like a mad fever dream. So one of the first things that you do is you create a muse for yourself. This isn't my muse, by the way. I'll show you my muse in a minute. And then your muse will go around this virtual world, meeting other muses and dressing them, making them happy and getting prizes off them. This is Camper Dora. She's going to go camping in this black dress. That's me there. That long, tall drink of water there is my muse. No me, my muse. Fucking no idea what's going on in this. It's brilliant. There's egg machines as well full of clays, because it's Japan. It's made in Japan. So you can put money in, put tickets in and get eggs, and patterns for clays will come out them, and then you collect them and make the clays so you can walk around and dress people up. And when you go online, other people can look at your muse, they'll see your muse in the world and they'll go, she looks cracking, I like that. And if they like you, then you'll get points. And this is the kind of world you navigate around, and it all just kind of looks cracking. And there's a lassie who's like a frog, and you're going to have to dress her up. She likes to wear it. She's not going to steal my cucumbers. No fucking idea what's going on. It's absolutely brilliant. This long cardigan look I've got. There's going to be free updates and stuff, so I don't want to talk about my opinion really on this game too much just now. I just want to let you know that I have been playing this, and I have found it very compelling. There's just so many outfits and so many different garments, and honestly, if you are interested in fashion, or just this kind of, there's just something cool about it, man. It's just cool that anybody would decide to make this game. Fucking yes, man. I love the human race. It's just a shame we're all going to die soon. Here's one that I imported for Japan on physical cart. I know it's been out for quite a long time, but physical Rab needs to wait for the cartridge to appear before he can play it. And this is TASOMACHI, and it's a game I hear that was made by one person, which is just an incredible achievement, because I loved this. It's not a long game, it's just a game where you're this wee lassie whose airship crashes in this lovely world, this lovely environment that this person's built, and you get to run around it while nice music plays. These wee creatures help you out, and it's kind of like a very light platforming exploration game. There's no baddies in it. I'll say this again, there are no baddies in this game. There's just the environment and running around. This is one of the more kind of gamey areas, these kind of puzzle rooms where they're not really puzzles or anything. There's just a wee bit more involved platforming than the other places. But it's just, there's just something kind of wondrous about it. You're collecting these things which are called Source of the Earth. You're using these things to repair your airship and get back out there. You're also trying to kind of repair the world as well, and it's just an incredibly charming game. Your main character's just a lovely wee person to look at. The world is beautiful to look at. Everything feels nice and smooth. It's a kind of frictionless experience, but no in a negative way. It's a very zen game, do you know what I mean? You're really just jumping around these environments and trying to spot these lanterns and collecting them. But again, doesn't feel like a collect-a-thon game either, you know? It just feels like a very gentle game of observation. And weirdly, I've found it a nice game to stick on and I kind of think about other stuff. I've often found myself playing this game and just kind of climbing up and standing in the spot and staring out into the distance and thinking about my day or my week or my family or my friends, or I don't know, there's just a wee bit of magic in here. It won't take you long to finish it, but is it even really a game? It feels almost like a wee kind of work of art you get to explore, you know? I fucking really like this. It's got the physical edition's got a really beautiful cover as well, so import it if you can. Beautiful.
I don't know whether it's becoming a doddery old fart, but I find that I have far, far less time for films, and I digest a lot of film scenes on YouTube. Quite a lot of film companies put iconic scenes, famous scenes for their films on, and it makes you want to watch the film. They're always a fantastic advert for the film. And just recently I've rewatched Age of Innocence, I've rewatched Taxi Driver, I've rewatched Cabaret, all because I saw famous scenes that displayed the kind of skill levels that are on display in these films. How in some of these films, just shot after shot after shot is great. Scripts that seem that they've just been edited to a diamond point. Films so vibrant in every area and performance, and it's so rich that they feel alive. They feel like living things. Living art is what they feel like. And it starts me off thinking, how many iconic, famous, artistically powerful scenes from video games are there that you could show to the non-believers that would display the type of artistic vision and dramatic flair that you so often see in cinema? So many fantastic examples of it in cinema, this being one of the very best. Cabaret. Such a vision, such storytelling, such panache, such passion for the vision. So what I've done is I've saved you the bother, and I've went out and done all my research and collected together some of the finest adverts, I think, for video gaming. I hope you're ready, because I think this shit is going to get emotional.
Enough. My ship sails in the morning. I wonder what's for dinner.
Aye, I wonder what is for dinner. That's a good point. CDI Zelda Wand of Gamelon would have, if it hadn't been for the general snobbishness towards video games, I think would have won an Oscar, this game.
All right, dear. I'll get the Triforce of Wisdom.
Oh, get the Triforce of Wisdom, then, I suppose.
Wow, I really can't move my body.
And you can really tell in the delivery of that line that they're not able to move their bodies, these actors. Everybody sounds as if they're in a coma. Except you can't obviously speak when you're in a I can't watch this. I can't watch it.
I should have been the one to fill your dark soul with light.
He's grated on her face. He grated on her face. I hope that was tears anyway. It might just be the emotions talking here, right? But I've seen telly shows and they're fucking rubbish compared to this. I think even these days, writers in film, TV and games are still very underappreciated. And it's always sad to see that when we do find a really great talent in the games industry like David Cage, we can sometimes not only take them for granted, but underappreciate them and over-criticise them. Because I think in particular David Cage is just a solid example of real talent. Just real talent. A visionary. Best storyteller in games. A pioneer. Probably a handsome guy as well that clearly knows how shagging works. A true one of a kind. You know, I actually haven't played Final Fantasy X, and seeing this scene has done the thing that I was hoping that these clips could, that has sold the game to me. Now that I've seen this, I'm definitely never ever gonna play this game.
Nice of the princess to invite us over for a picnic, eh, Luigi?
Fucking dodgiest sounding Mario I've ever heard.
If you need instructions
When you're waiting in the reception area at Hell, this is going to be on the telly.
Ah! No, this isn't happening! There's no reason for me to go on. What? What am I fighting for?
I like to, in these scenes, keep a really close eye on Raiden's eyes. Bet you anything they said to that actor, could you move your head less when you're talking, because it's an absolute bollock to map the eyes. I've seen, in the cinema, I've seen like more than 3 Christopher Nolan films in the cinema. And this is better than all of them. Better than Citizen Kane. It's better than Apocalypse Now. It's better than The Godfather. It's better than Jaws. It's definitely better than Jaws. It's not as good, I don't think, as the American Pie films. But it's really fucking good.
Well, I know you're disappointed, Robin, but we had to accompany Dr. Honeydew for the reading of his late uncle's will.
One of my happiest childhood memories is getting up early in a weekend morning, like really early, like 6 o'clock in the morning, to watch the Muppet Babies cartoon. And I'm so glad back then I hadn't seen this fucking abomination. Your average Joe on the street isn't very good at digesting horror at the best of the times. People do not have the stomach for true horror. And next to video games, films trying to pull off horror, they just look silly. Hollywood, if you're listening, just leave the horror to the video games makers, because you are out of your depth.